Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight on 6 Minutes, we've got a real treat for you. We've actually got here the father of transcendentalism, Mr. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Ralph? How you doing, Ralph?
I'm having a great day, Ryan. How about yourself?
Pretty good. So, for the audience who isn't familiar with your life, why don't you give a brief biography?
All right, Ryan. So I grew up in 1700s, in Boston, Massachusetts. Pretty bright young man. I eventually went on to Harvard, just about, the best school in the country. And from there, I invented transcendentalism, which is really a groundbreaking philosophy that could change your life.
So, I'm familiar with transcendentalism and how to apply it, but I'm sure all these non-Harvard grads aren't, so why don't you explain it to them?
Well, really, transcendentalism is quite simple. It's just using nature and what we find in nature, our own personal relationship, to answer the big questions in our lives.
So, you speak about nature. I actually read your essay, Nature, and I stumbled upon the chapter Beauty. And I really found the points that you made quite interesting. So, you want to break it down to 3 sections, and we'll start off with section 1?
Yeah, sure, Ryan. First section I just talk about how nature can be medicinal and restorative. So what this means is nature is healing us. As we scurry about in our life, all this chaos going on nonstop, on all this new technology. Nature helps us to sit back and really see what God created this world to be, and helps us to see our place.
I think you said it best in your quote. To the body and mind which have been cramped by noxious work and company, nature's medicinal and restores their tone.
That's quite right, Ryan. But, it's not as easy as it sounds. You can't just, walk into the forest and expect all the answers to be written on the trees. I mean, you can't find nature and the answers if you're looking for it, if that makes any sense.
I think I get what you're saying. So basically, it's sort of like modern-day photography. You can't just carry around a camera and look for beauty. You have to always be ready to take that perfect shot, which is why all these photographers now have their cameras around their necks at all times, right?
Exactly.
All right, so I understand that observing the beauty of nature can be good for us and heals us, but how can we put this beauty into action in our daily lives?
Well, Ryan, what I like to say, and I talked about this in my second section, is that beauty is the mark God sets upon nature.
That's a quote, right?
So yeah, that's a quote from my essay. Now what this means is that anytime we do a good, virtuous action, God sees that as beautiful. So if you do a simple action, you pick up a pencil, you open a door, that's beauty.
All right, so I also noticed in your second part that it says here, nature stretches out her arms to embrace man. Only let his thoughts be of equal greatness. You want to explain that?
All right, so what this means is that, God wants us to do good things, obviously. And what I believe is that God expresses himself through nature. So that means that nature is going to aid us and help us and give beauty to our actions if we're striving for a noble cause.
I see. So if we look hard and do God's will, then nature will be on our side. Is that basically why Tim Tebow has been winning?
That could be a good part of it. I mean, that last pass, that's beauty.
Indeed. So, would you like to tell me more in the audience about the third section?
All right, so in the third section, I talk about how, everybody sees some kind of pleasure in beauty that's called taste. But, a lot of us, we try to recreate the beauty of nature, and that's what we call art.
All right, so I believe you also focused on the topic of unity, which is said through your quote, "Nothing is quite beautiful alone. Nothing but is beautiful in the whole." Care to explain?
All right, so, why don't we use an example here? So, you see this Arnold Palmer bottle, that's something we all love to drink. You've had this before, right?
Of course.
Right, so, but you look on the ingredients here, there's citric acid in this. That doesn't sound good to drink by itself.
No.
So it's not beautiful on its own. When you put it together with all these other ingredients, then that's beauty and it's art.
And it's quite tasty art, if I do say so myself. So I believe I understand what you're trying to say now. So although not everything is beautiful, when you look at it from the big picture, as part of nature, it truly is beautiful. So basically beauty is everywhere.
That's right. Spoken like a true transcendentalist.
All right, so we're running a little short on time, So before you go, why don't you tell us why you think beauty is so important?
All right, so
Actually, we're gonna cut this down. So you say, how about you tell me?
that's your stuff.
No, you don't. Okay.
Should we? Shall we?
No, because then you have to come back
Oh.
out of nowhere. So we'll just cut this all out. So you say, actually,
Oh, okay.
how about you tell me? Then I'll say the quote, and then do you want to just look over the line? And if worse comes to worse, you can always put up technical difficulties for one thing. Start off with something actually Ryan, you tell me.
Actually, Ryan, I've been doing all the talking today. How about you tell me why
All
beauty
right.
is so important?
Alright, so from what I've gathered in my notes, it seems that if we're able to see and connect with nature's beauty, then we will develop a more personal connection with nature, which will allow us to answer more of our own philosophical questions.
Yeah, that's pretty good, for someone who didn't go to Harvard. I think that what sums it up well is that truth, goodness, and beauty are but different faces of the same all. So what this means is that, beauty is actually everywhere we look. Everything is beautiful. But we have to find beauty for ourselves, find our own interpretation of it, and then that will lead us to the answers we're all looking for.
Alright, Ralph Waldo Emerson, people.
It's been great to be on your
It's
show.
been a pleasure, Ralph. Alright, so folks, next week we're going to have a special treat for you, and we're going to bring out one of the best American poets ever, in my opinion, Mr. Robert Frost. See you next time on 6 Minutes.